Stephen A. Z Show.
Now, you mentioned the Department of Justice. Of the many things that are so terribly disturbing to me as an American, what's going on at the Department of Justice, which has been not only revealed to us through interviews, but now confirmed in testimony. What happens next with this Department of Justice voting department issue that clearly is being looked at? The activity in the Department of Justice is entirely race-based.
Yeah.
So what do we want Americans to? What can we expect from Congress with all of this now exposed?
Well, that's a tougher call as to what you do about these things. My hope is that we get it corrected, justice by public pressure, although public pressure doesn't seem to have any impact on Obama at all. If you notice the tidal wave that he's witnessing against his agenda, he attributes to the irrationality of the fear born of economic policies that he inherited and did not exacerbate. This guy is not living in reality. He promised that he would, if we passed his $868 billion monstrosity of a stimulus bill, that unemployment would not get above 8%. And ever since he passed it, it got above 10%, and it's hovered between 9 and 10 ever since. And he says then, I underestimated the crisis that Bush caused. It took us 9 or 10 years to get into this mess. It'll take 9 to 10 years to get out. Quit complaining. I don't want the people that created this mess to do a lot of talking. Now, you remember Ronald Reagan didn't come in with the colossal economic malaise that he inherited from Jimmy Carter and complain about how long it took for Carter to create it. He said, I'm going to invoke a tax cut, and it's going to cause economic growth, and it happened within 2 years. He didn't complain, he just did it. Obama has turned his toxic poison into this system, and it has exacerbated all of our problems, and he won't take ownership of it. And so we're seeing him continue to be oblivious and impervious to the express will of the people. So I don't see him changing when they say when he's facing all these people who oppose him and directly oppose what he's doing. Even when even if he's faced with an extraordinarily overwhelming majority of Republicans in the House and the Senate, I see him just playing games and trying to polarize them and make them look like obstructionists. I do not see him moving to the center like Bill Clinton. This guy is a dogged ideologue who will and a narcissist who will continue to pursue his agenda no matter what. So I hope that Republicans do not start a bunch of investigations and derail and distract our time, because it'll just make Obama a victim. I just think they ought to go about governing and try to pass their agenda and defund Obama's toxic agenda. All these investigations, what is that going to do other than further polarize? The Democrats are going to circle the wagons around Obama, just like they did the felonious perjurer Bill Clinton. If they're going to defend Clinton when it was obvious he committed felony perjury, they're not going to do anything to Obama except get their backs up and circle the wagon and make him a sympathetic victim. So I'd just like to get about reversing some of this damage to the country that's occurred. That's my preference.
So it would be more productive to be productive, in other words, because if the Republicans are going to pursue something like impeachment, that's only going to be a non-productive item in terms of the nation's business, and give the Democrats a lot of ammunition to use against the Republicans when it comes around to 2012.
That's exactly what I believe. Now, in a period where we were less cynical about the rule of law and moral equivalence, the Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats and all that stuff, if we weren't living in a time we were so cynical about the Constitution and the rule of law, I might be in favor of them pursuing it. But we are in that period of time. The Democrats, I think, as a party, have shown no honor. They will defend almost anything when it comes to one of their members, party members, especially their president. Therefore, it will not work for the Republicans to do it, and I think it'll just backfire procedurally and electorally the next time, make them look like they're bullies and just petty and vindictive instead of trying to correct the problems in the country. Now, that doesn't mean, now, I'm not saying we ought to get along and compromise. I'm against these people who say we ought to have kumbaya and have hot toddies in the Senate and get along and compromise. No, I'm not talking about compromise. I'm talking about going full bore, concentrating on dismantling Obama's agenda. And if you can't get the veto-proof votes to accomplish that, then you establish a record to unelect him in November of 2012, and to further sweep the House and Senate of these Democratic misfits who are continuing to enable him and the advancement of socialism. But if we have Republicans who compromise and say, well, we just want to work with Obama because we don't have the kind of majorities that can override a veto, we have to just move government forward and get the best we can. If we do that, we'll end up with a third party, because the Tea Partiers and the rest of us watchdog conservatives are not going to put up with further compromise, because when you compromise with these socialists, you advance socialism, as I say. If you don't unravel Obamacare from its roots, then you allow that metastatic cancer to remain, and it'll eventually destroy the living organisms of the free market within the healthcare system, and it's just a matter of time. It has to be eradicated from its roots.
I'm glad you mentioned the third party, because as I see it, as we head into 2011, this could very well be the GOP's last stand. If they decide to do business as usual, compromise like you say, I think that I listen to a lot of people who are talking on Facebook and other websites, and Americans, conservative Americans, have had it, and they are looking at the GOP at this point to change their direction. And if they don't, they're fully ready to begin some kind of conservative third party.
I really think that. I mean, I've been proud of Tea Partiers because they have not gone off half-cocked and done this Ross Perot thing, playing into Obama's hands like Perot did Clinton. And yet, if Republicans do not heed what we're seeing now, if they say, we've got to work with Obama after we get elected, I'm telling you, that will be that might well be their death knell. So I agree with you. The Tea Partiers are not going third party yet, but if the Republicans are in power and breach that sacred fiduciary trust they're given by the voters, then I think there's really going to be a third party movement, and there probably ought to be.
Yeah, I think so. Let me take a quick break here. We'll come back and continue our conversation with David Limbaugh, author of Crimes Against Liberty, an indictment of President Barack Obama. Thanks for listening to The Jimmy Z Show.
Z